What's up, gang? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Billy Collins and this is Tipsy Talk season number 2. We are back for another season, and my first guest for season 2, you may have seen him before on shows like James Corden, Penn and Teller Fool Us, America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent, Wizard Wars. I mean, he's been all over the place. He's a magician, he's an escape artist, he's a YouTube sensation, he's a creator, he's a father. I mean, the list goes on and on, but I simply call him great. Guys, my next guest for the show is Matt Johnson. But before we get into the interview, can you do me a huge favor? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button down there for me, please. I need it. And the little bell, you'll see the bell up there. That's a notification bell. Yeah, if you hit that bell, you will be notified when I have new videos. And I got a lot of videos coming up. So guys, here we go. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Tipsy Talk season 2. I am here with the one, the only Mr. Matt Johnson. He is one of my idols. He's an influencer, YouTuber, magician, escape artist, dad. I'm pretty sure he's probably more proud of being a dad than all those combined. And it's my honor to introduce Mr. Matt Johnson. Matt Johnson, how are you? And welcome to the channel.
Billy, I'm well, my friend. How are you? This is our first time actually talking. So thanks for having me on your YouTube channel. I know you're grinding hard and working hard. So absolute pleasure. Good to see you finally.
And yes, likewise. And this is season 2. And I wanted you on season 1, but I wanted, you're, like I said, you're one of my idols. So I wanted you to really, captivate and start off season 2. I wanted you to have the spotlight in the beginning.
I can't imagine why I'm one of your idols. What's that all about?
I'm
just a guy that's lucky to get a gig.
Right, but I think it's because we're similar. I think I'm a couple years older than you, but right. I think it has to do with just your way of being creative, your style on stage when you perform, your outside the box mentality. When it comes to hustle and humble, I think your picture should be in the dictionary next to that. The way you grind every day and the way you think, and just the way you go about life and not letting everything knock you down. And just to be on a personal level, recently I went through a divorce a couple of years ago, and I think it was one of your posts that said, your hashtag is never give up. Yeah. And
yeah, I think tattoo right there on the hand.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, you go through that dark time when you feel like you're alone, and then you're like feeling kind of worthless, I guess. And then when I saw that, it kind of lifted me up. So I applaud you and thank you for that. So.
Oh, no. If you know what, those 3 words have got me through more down times. Everybody, I mean, I don't know. I'm always really humble when people say that I'm any kind of influence, because that's just crazy to me. I'm just a kid from Sheffield in Yorkshire, in England. I'm just doing my thing. And so it's always a really humbling experience when that happens. And everybody, I think people from the outside look in and go, oh, this is a guy that he's got it together and he's, and it's working for him. And that couldn't be further from the truth. It's so many struggles to get to where I am now. I've had more failures than I've had successes. And that's why I got that put there, because the only thing that makes somebody successful through all that failure is just never giving up. It's just pushing as hard as you possibly can. And when one door closes, you kick another one open. It sounds so cliche to say that, but it's absolutely 100% true. And, I don't talk about it a lot, but I don't mind talking with you about, if you want to get into some of the failures that have happened and stuff. But it's life-changing stuff, that you could either, that would either just put you in bed and you'd stay there for the rest of your life, or you manage to kind of get through it. And so that's why I put that there. Well, there's a reason I put that there. There's a date next to it. February 4th, 2017, that is a date I'll remember forever. But that date is the reason that was put there. But then since then, it was put there so that I could, every single morning when I brush my teeth, I can see it in the mirror. And so it's just an important reminder to me to make sure that I keep pushing forwards and don't get complacent and don't listen to the negative stuff that's going on, that goes on with everybody in your head, and and just realize that I've got a goal and that's what I'm driving towards, and that's the direction that you know I'm responsible for, and so by never giving up, that's where you can get to.
Well, that's fantastic. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and, you know, me being a bartender for so many years is kind of where Tipsy Talk originated from, is that I think everybody has a story. So with that being said, let's go ahead and open your tab with the first question.
You paying for this then?
Yeah, I'll send it.
Cool.
Checks in the mail.
Good.
Checks in the mail.
All right, man.
What are you drinking there? What is that you're drinking, actually? I mean,
Pinot Gris. It's,
okay.
I like all kinds of things to drink. I like my beer. I like rum and coke. I like whiskey and ginger ale. My wife's kind of the wine drinker, but I do like a glass of wine. I'm drinking this actually because I'm out of beer and rum and coke. I've drunk it all. But we have a little wine cellar here in our house that I built for my wife's birthday, which is actually a big feat because I don't build nothing. My hands don't get dirty. So I built it 3 years ago for a birthday. It's a proper little wine cellar with a wine barrel and cedar walls. And anyway, so that's all there is left. So that's what I'm going through.
Well, fantastic. You know what? Waste not, want not. That's what
exactly.
You got to do what you, and I'm drinking a little Moscow Mule here. So that's, you know,
nice.
What I made the last time on one of my videos. So basically, listen, I'm well versed in who Matt Johnson is, but for the audience, who is Matt Johnson? What is Matt Johnson about?
Oh my God, who is Matt Johnson? Wow, that's a really good question. Nobody's ever asked me that. I don't know. I'm just a dude. I was born in England, in Yorkshire, just outside a city called Sheffield, which is about 45 minutes from Manchester. I have, you know, brother and a sister, mom and dad. I'm the oldest, and I just from about 12 years old always was into magic and loved magic. And I was very lucky because in the city that I grew up, Sheffield, there was a magic shop. Actually, it's still there to this day. A good friend of mine, Russell Hall, runs that shop, and so I used to go there every Saturday. I was first one in at 9, last one out at 5. You know, hanging out with all the old magicians. You know, 52 weeks a year without fail, and that from like 12 to like 18 years old. That's where I grew up, kind of experiencing magic and learning from the old pros and kind of doing my thing, you know. And that's in a nutshell really who I am. I'm a dad. I've got 2 beautiful girls. They're 20 and 26. I'm a husband, you know. I've got my beautiful wife Dana, my little dog Yogi, and that's Yogi. Kind of me. Yeah, he has his own Instagram page. Yeah,
that's right. So yeah, I also have a daughter that's 20. I also have another daughter that's 20. She'll be 25.
So we're
pretty much in the same boat on that.
Yeah. So that's it really, Billy. I'm just a guy that loves what he does for a living, and I love to travel, and of course all that's stopped now. But and you know, but magic's been my life. As certainly since 12 years old. I'm 46 now, so like 34 years, as long as I can remember, you know. But at the heart of it, I'm just a guy, just doing my thing and hoping people will like it, you know.
Yeah. So with that, you brought up the fact that we're not traveling right now, and I think we're all kind of in that realm of life. So is that the purpose for you to switch gears and start the YouTube channel? Beer and Watches, or was that just something that you just wanted to do just to kind of deviate from it?
Yeah, I've got a YouTube channel already. I've got a Matt Johnson kind of magic YouTube channel. It's not huge. I think it's about 9,000 subscribers, something like that. And so a lot of people are like, well, why didn't you? That's already got a big, you know, for anybody that's into YouTube, like I know you're working hard and I'm working hard to build these new channels. In order to monetize your YouTube account, which eventually we all want to get so we can make some kind of income from it, you need 1,000 subscribers and you need 4,000 hours of combined watch time. So if somebody watches your video for 2 minutes, you add all those 2 minutes up to 4,000 hours. Now, my magic, if you like, YouTube account, I started years ago, and I never really looked after it. And back then, you didn't need 4,000 hours of watch time. You just needed 1,000 subscribers. So I actually monetized that account, but then YouTube took monetization away for copyright reasons. So then I tried to figure out what. I monetized it again. They took it away again. So I kind of stopped posting to it years ago. And then I got into performing and traveling, which now, up till 2 years ago, most of my career was just local, right? I was a kids entertainer. I was a magician, a balloon artist. And then when I started traveling and performing primarily, because that's all I do now, I don't perform locally. When the pandemic hit, I got no work. All my work's gone. So I thought, I need something to be creative about. I need something to keep my interest, right? And I didn't want to do magic videos. I didn't want to do YouTube videos about magic. I thought I wanted to start another channel, but I thought if I start a channel from scratch and grow it properly, where I know they can't take away monetization when I get it because it's all copyright free and I've done it right. I thought that's what I want to do. So, but I thought, well, I don't want to do a magic channel because I do magic every day of my life. And I love it. But if I make that about my YouTube too, and as you know, YouTube channels are a lot of work, 30, 40 hours a week in editing and filming and designing your thing. It's a lot of work for nothing for a long time. So I thought, do I really want to do magic? Because that's what I do for a living. So I am a huge fan of watches. I'm a watch collector. I always have been. And so I thought, I kind of want to do something with that. And I've got about 16 watches in my collection. So I figured, I've probably got enough watches to keep me going to get the channel started. And so that's kind of what happened. So it started really as just kind of an experiment, and it started as a way to stay creative and be interested in something, and also without any pressure. Because if I did a video that wasn't great, or if I did a video that didn't get many followers, or I did something that wasn't good and people didn't like it, it wasn't going to affect my career as a magician, right? So that's ultimately why I started the channel. And as you know, now I'm sure with you, it becomes an obsession.
It does. I feel like that it almost becomes a point like when I work out. If I don't work out, I feel like I'm not breathing properly. And now I'm doing a channel, and it's just kind of like, I've only got 152 subscribers. So, and I keep energized by just those 152 and trying to move forward. So,
but as you know, with YouTube, it's so much hard work that if you're anything like me, you watch the subscriber count every 5 minutes, right? See and when you get one more subscriber, you're like, yes,
a success.
Yeah. And I'm the same, man. And then when you lose a few, you're like, oh my God, why did people leave? And it's hard work, and especially when you put in all that time and then you don't get the views or the subscribers you'd like. It is very, very hard work, but it's also rewarding when you get 1 or 2 subscribers at this early stage. It's so rewarding, and so I'm really enjoying it. It's a different, and it was tough in the beginning because as a performer, I know my voice, I know my character, I know who I am. I can address an audience. That not a problem. I've been on the biggest stages in the world, but as a YouTube guy, oh my God, I look at some of my videos and I just cringe because I think,
wow. You know what? I do that too. I look back and I'm like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
I don't even know what I was saying. So
yeah, exactly. And so that's about finding a voice too. And I've changed my thumbnails like 1 million times. I've changed my titles 1 million times, and so it just becomes an obsession, but I'm enjoying it. And so that's kind of,
Well, I just feel like someone like you who's always been creative. I mean, you've created tons of magic throughout especially guys like myself and others that know you've been creating for years. And actually I would even go as far as saying you've created your persona, because myself, I remember the non-beard time and the balloon animals and stuff like that. So what caused you to change that? Was it just something that you felt like you needed to do?
It was a natural. Well, it was kind of a perfect storm that all really came at once. Up until about, I always say, it's 3-4 years ago. It may be a bit longer than that now, because I've been telling the same story for years. But I about 4 or 5 years ago, I was primarily a kids entertainer. I did corporate gigs. I've always done close up and illusions and everything, but I was primarily a kids entertainer, a balloon artist, magician. And, I was wearing the crazy suit, and I was wearing in fact, there's a picture right there. If I could, these things always go backwards, right there.
Yeah.
That kind of, the big flame shoes, the hat, I mean, it was just no tattoos, no beard. And I did it for years, and I made a great living. I made a really, really good living locally as a performer. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, I said to my wife, I'm done. Like, I'm so bored of this. I've been doing it for 20 years. And, I get a gig and I wouldn't pack my case until half an hour before I left because it was so robotic. It was just, I was just bored. Creatively, I was bored and I was done. And about that time, a good friend of mine, a very, very creative and successful magician called Vitaly Beckman, who was actually on Penn and Telefoolers. He fooled them on there. And I was helping him with a gig. I was taking one of his gigs. And so you have to bear in mind that I didn't have any tattoos below my elbows, but I had a couple up here that people would see when I was wearing a t-shirt and stuff. And he said to me at the time, he says, why are you dressing in a clown suit and flame shoes and going, and da-da, and all that stuff? Why are you doing that when this is the Matt Johnson I know, t-shirt and jeans and I didn't have the beard and tattoos then, and he was like, that's who you should be. And I remember having this argument with him saying, yeah, but if I do that and get more tattoos and none of my clients are going to book me for Billy's birthday party. That's my income. That's my living, right? At the same time, it was kind of by accident that I got spotted by Penguin. And I created a trick called pen through finger. Mm-hmm. And I happened to be in Vegas and it was at Magic Live. And I actually didn't go for Magic Live. I went down because my aunt used to visit the Orleans Hotel. She lived close by and she used to gamble there. And so I thought, well, I'll go stay at the Orleans and visit my aunt and uncle. And I went down to Vegas. And it was the weekend of Magic Live. I got no idea. I was staying in the Orleans Hotel, and there were all these magicians.
Right? I can only imagine you're seeing all these people. I know him.
Yeah, I walked into the bar, and there's all these. I was like, what is going on? And so Penguin were there, and I was really quite shy around magicians, and Penguin were there, and I got a bit drunk, and so I'm doing this trick, pen through finger. And they loved it. And so they said, come up in the studio, in the room at the hotel, and we'll film it, and we'll pay you, and we'll put it on Penguin, right? And so I did that, and then they invited me out to lecture, and all of that happened. And then I went to lecture, and then when I got there, they asked me what other ideas I got. So I said, well, I've got this thing where I put a card through a bill, and and these other ideas. And so they bought those off me. So they kind of then started to mold, because if you look at my Penguin lecture back in the day, it's very much the old Matt Johnson, right? Mm-hmm. And so they kind of started to mold this cool character as well. At the time that I was starting to go, I need a change. And so the two kind of met, and that's what happened. And the beard actually came about because a good friend of mine, a mentalist called Christopher Taylor, him and I were going on a lecture tour. Beyond all this, beyond kids entertainment, I've been lecturing for years and creating magic for years. And so him and I were going on a lecture tour of Europe for a month. And I said to Christopher, you know what? I don't have to do kids' parties. I'm going to grow a beard. I'm just going to try it. And that was probably 3.5 years ago. And it's never stopped since. I started growing it on that European tour. And it just never stopped. And then I came back. I started doing more stuff for Penguin. I started doing Matt Johnson Presents for Penguin and doing different people's routines. And then, the tattoos started happening, and then that all kind of happened. And so all that kind of happened before I started into the escapes. That started about 3 years ago.
So I was concerned with the beard, because I know in some of your YouTube channels, which if you guys don't know, is called Beer and Watches. Go ahead and follow him on YouTube. But you were doing the beard bun. Yeah. And I was wondering if you were just kind of getting to the point where, like, maybe I should trim it back or.
No, I memean, anybody with a beard, I mean, you've got one going there, but anybody with a beard this long and a mustache this long that you can curl up is going to tell you they have the up days and down days, right? When you're sat in a restaurant with your wife and you're trying to eat your food and it's in your mouth and there's stuff in your beard and, those are the days where like, I'm just going to go home and shave this off because it's ridiculous. But the problem is with, you know, would I, in an ideal world, would I not have it? Possibly, but it's kind of like escapes. When I started doing escapes on all these TV shows, I created a rod for my own back, meaning that I created this persona and this act that now everybody wants to see. And nobody cares that I've been a magician for 20 odd years and that I know what I'm doing in that. Nobody cares. When I say that, I'm talking about theaters and TV shows and,
right,
you know, performing as The Illusionist. The Illusionists don't want me to do magic. They want me to go in a tank of water and lock myself up for 3 minutes, you know? So I created a rod for my own back, and it's the same with a beard. I can't get rid of it now because it is my identity, you know?
Yeah, it's become your persona.
It's my persona any more than I could have all my tattoos lasered off, you know? It's just, it's who I am. And so if I get to a point where I can make that decision, it's kind of like when I was a kids entertainer. I couldn't grow a beard and I couldn't get tattoos because that was my audience and that's where I made a living. And it's kind of the same now. I can't shave off the beard because it's my identity and it's my persona. And, you know, I'm smart enough to understand that it makes me, that this look makes me unique. It almost makes you when you're trying to get an identity and be remembered, you almost want to be a caricature of yourself. You almost want to be this cartoon superhero, right? And so you almost want people to be able to describe you in one sentence. Oh yeah, did you see the guy that was underwater with a beard and tattoos? Like everybody can relate to that, right? Because it's instantly recognizable. So I'm smart enough to know that. And so, you know, I'm willing to put up with the hair in the food and the, you know.
Well, it's a small price of it. Plus, you know, you've blown up. I mean, from cruise ships to corporate gigs to The Illusionist. I mean, that's a pretty big deal, especially to us in the magic world. You know, that's one of the biggest, if it is the biggest touring company for magic, correct? I'm not.
The Illusionist?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple out there. I forget what the other one is called.
I know they do a steampunk type with
Impossible. There's one called Impossible that's not part of the Illusionists. Yeah, the Illusionists have different shows. They've done different things over the years. Of course, now Illusionists is owned by Cirque du Soleil, for anybody that doesn't know. Cirque du Soleil. Yeah, they bought them out a couple of years ago. About 2 years ago, they bought the Illusionists out. So Simon Painter, one of the creators of the Illusionists, basically, Cirque du Soleil came along and bought the company. So now, I mean, there's nothing going on right now, but technically, I'm an employee of Cirque du Soleil. But
that's interesting.
Yeah, but I've only been with the Illusionists. My first tour was last year in, I think it was May, is when I did 6 weeks. We did the Panama and Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, really, I haven't done another tour. I was offered a lot, but I'm also, like you said, a cruise ship performer, which I really enjoy. And I do my own theater shows and TV. So I'd already got a book schedule. So I was offered 3 or 4 other tours, but I couldn't do them. I had to keep turning them down. So the last time I performed with the Illusionists was in November when they were in Saudi Arabia. And I was supposed to be the escape artist for that tour, but we were having a problem with my tattoos. And so they couldn't make a decision as to whether I was going to be the guy that was going to go or not. And I needed to know because I got other gigs on the go, right? So I actually, so I backed out of it. Now, as chance would have it, Andrew Basso was booked for it. It was a month tour, a month season. But then unfortunately for opening day, Andrew Basso's, one of Andrew Basso's family members passed away. And so he had to fly back to New York. And so I ended up flying out. I got the call. I was in Phoenix doing a show and I got the call, can you be in Saudi Arabia in like a day and a half? So I flew out to Saudi Arabia and basically did the opening for a couple of days until he could come back. So I ended up going anyways.
Oh, that's a pretty good trip. I mean, it'd be kind of nice to go to a different country and perform like that, which obviously you've done. So let me ask a question. If you had a chance to go back and talk to the 12-year-old Matt Johnson starting Magic, what advice would you give him?
I wouldn't do anything differently.
No?
I don't think I would give him any different advice for the 12-year-old from like 12 to 18, 20. You know, I couldn't have done it any differently, and I couldn't have spent any more time around magic. I mean, like I said, I was in this magic shop 52 weeks a year, 9 to 5, you know, I mean, every Saturday. So I certainly invested a lot of my time. So I couldn't do that any differently. I think where I would do it differently is when I got older. When I got into my 20s, I'm 46 and I really didn't become what I am now and do any of the bearing in mind, my first TV show was only 3 years ago, you know.
I didn't know that.
Maybe, well, my first TV show was a TV show that did one series called Wizard Wars.
Yeah, I remember Wizard Wars, Rick Lax and Justin Flint. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that was before my second TV show was Penn and Teller Fool Us. So yeah, Wizard Wars, I think was 2017. Yes, it's probably about 3 years ago. No, I hadn't done a single TV show up until 3 years ago. And everybody thinks, oh, he's done all this stuff. I hadn't. So I kind of didn't really get into the swing of things until I was 42, 43. So, you know, if I was to say something to myself, it would probably be when I started being a full-time magician around, you know, 19, 20 years old, when it became my career, I would go back and say, focus on what makes you unique and different and get into escapes because they're going to pay off for you.
Yeah.
You know? Now, the interesting thing is, if you look at this wall here behind me, you can see there's newspaper articles here of me with chains on. This is the newspaper when I was like, I'd have probably been about 17 there. And
so it's always been in your blood.
Handcuffs, yeah. And there's a picture here somewhere of me hanging upside down from a straitjacket from a crane. Now, I was a big fan of Houdini as a kid, but really, I got posters of him on my bedroom wall, but I didn't really know a lot about him. He was just an iconic magic figure, right? And so I was a fan. I was also a fan of Lance Burton. I had pictures of him on my wall. So I did a few escape, but I never did a gig as an escape artist. I did one fair where I did a straitjacket escape, but that was it. I never did a gig as an escape artist, but I kind of played around with it and they took photos of me like it was good visual. And then that was it. I never did it again. And I never, ever explored escapes or handcuffs or ropes or straitjackets until 3 years ago, until three and a half years ago. So that really is kind of what I was.
And it kind of fits your whole persona as well. I mean, you kind of you're eccentric. I'm going to do something. You can't hold me down. Type.
It kind of does. It kind of does, right? I mean, you look at the way I look. And so it was a perfect storm where everything just came together. You know, the look, the escapes, and everything came together. Now, I tried to get on Britain's Got Talent for about 5 years. I sent him, because I live in Canada, I sent video auditions every year for about 5 years. I never got a response. And it wasn't until I sent the Water Tank Escape, which was the last audition that 5 years in, that they said yes. I mean, I, if you were to ask me, I would have preferred to be a magician on that show because it fits what I generally do in my performance career day in, day out. But that's just not what happened for me. And I don't think I would have got on that show as a magician, not because I'm not good enough, but I didn't have the look. Nothing fit, whereas everything fit. And the story of why I do the water escape, that fit as well. And obviously that's a big part. That's a big part.
It's a huge part,
shows.
yeah.
Shows like Britain's Got Talent, they want the emotional story. And so it wasn't manufactured for me. It actually was. It is something near and dear to my family's heart. So it all kind of fit together. And then that was the perfect storm.
So I have a friend of mine, Brian Sanders, and we both went and auditioned for America's Got Talent twice.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and knocked it out of the park. I mean, you know, during one of my auditions, one of the guys, when I was done, he was like, why am I even here? Yeah, they didn't call me, and I think it's because I didn't play the game. I didn't have the story. I didn't have the story that.
Well, it's interesting because I, not naming names, but I know people that went the year that I did it and did the audition round and did really well and were told they probably got through and then actually didn't get through. I think there's lots of factors there. Story is one for sure, but also it's not just a story. It's also the look and it's also the act. It doesn't have to be the best act as long as because they've got to fill this quota of building blocks of variety and sometimes there just isn't enough spaces for all the good acts that are there, right? So,
there's a lot of people.
Lots of people, yeah. I mean, so did you actually turn up an audition on the day kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we we just traveled and we were like, we woke up one day I woke up one day and called him and he was like, we should drive and go try out for America's Got Talent. So we hopped in the car and just went and tried out for it, which we probably should have planned better, but
Oh, good for you, man.
It is what it is.
No, I mean, these days, a lot of people get called. You hear that all the time. Right?
Yeah, and I think Brian actually got called to audition.
So to set the record straight, I never got called. I never, ever got called. I went under my own steam. I kept sending audition videos. As a matter of fact, which brings us to this. So a lot of people don't know this story. I've done a few interviews, so a few people know it. But February 4th, 2017, I applied for Britain's Got Talent the last time, and I got accepted at the end of 2016. And I picked the date of February 4th, 2017 to go to Manchester Hippodrome and do the water escape. And so I had to, because I was auditioning, I wasn't asked to do it. I had to spend my own money. So it cost me about $6,000 for flights and shipping my water tank, hotel, all that. Bearing in mind, Billy, that I tried for 5 years to get on this show, right? This is what we were talking about earlier about trials and tribulations and getting up when you're being kicked down. I tried 5 years to get on this show, and it was my dream. As a matter of fact, I've got a picture here on my wall of my grandma trying out for a TV talent show in England. She was a singer.
Oh, that's sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that is the reason that I wanted to do it, because my grandma always said to me as a kid, when she tried out for this TV show, I've got the picture here, of her on stage, way before Britain's Got Talent, she said, you should do that. Yeah, I think I was 12, 13 years old. So I've got that here, and so I wanted to do it. So it was my dream. Well, February 4th, 2017, I was supposed to film Britain's Got Talent, and during the day, we did a rehearsal. And in rehearsal, my water tank at about 2 minutes shattered. It just exploded. It went everywhere. Water flooded the set, shut production down. I was injured. It was just a mess. And that was it. My dreams were done. And I was pretty depressed about it. And so that was it. It was all over. 2017. Nobody knew because I didn't actually film the show. And so I came back to Canada, bearing in mind, I was depressed. I was done. I tried 5 years to get on the show. A month later, I was supposed to be on Penn and Teller Fool as well. I didn't have a water tank. It was in pieces. I was really scared of going underwater. And I spent about a week in my own self-pity. And then I went, you know what? I got to own this. And I went and got this tattoo done. And that's the water there that was coming out the tank. And I got this tattoo done.
That's a great story.
Yeah. And that's what it was, man. And then I went and spent another $5,000 on another water tank. I had it shipped to Vegas sight unseen. And when it arrived, I was on the dock of the Rio Theater trying to squeeze in it. It was built too small. And that's the tank that you see on Penn and Teller. It was smaller than my old tank. And I couldn't hold my breath. And I just said to my assistant, you know what? Wheel me out there, lock me in, and don't let me out. I'm just going to do it. And I did it. And that's what you saw on Penn and Teller.
Yeah.
And so then I tried to get back on Britain's Got Talent. They kept saying no, because I flooded the set. I shut production down. You get one shot, and that's it, right? But I was persistent. And I eventually got them to say yes. And I went back. And a year later, on February 8, 2018, I got 4 yeses and a standing ovation. And that, by never giving up, I got that. And that is the moment that changed my life. And that could have gone so many different ways. It could have got none of this. You know, every TV show I've done, James Corden, The World's Best, Tusa Cavalis, all these TV shows, The Illusionist being in that tour, cruise ships, tours. Now I've got a manager now. I'm personally managed by a guy in Hollywood now. None of that would have happened if I'd have let that accident dictate the rest of my life. It just wouldn't happen.
That is outstanding. I didn't know the meaning behind your purpose of never giving up, but that's incredible. Incredible. Because I do remember.
That's when the 3 words became a part of my life. They never were before that. It never was, you know, and I just, you know, my wife kind of said, never give up, keep doing it, get up there, do it again. And my family did. And that's when it became it became the drive of what I do. And and everything's happened since then. Since 2018, everything that I've done or achieved, you know, I was on the front of Vanish magazine, which was one of my biggest dreams in life, was to be on the cover of a magic magazine. You know, all these things happened to me within 2 years. Yeah,
that's incredible, and that shows what hard work, dedication, being humbled and hungry. You know, I mean, you're the classic textbook situation, and that's why I said your picture should be, if magicians had a dictionary of different things, hustle and hungry, you should be the poster boy for it. So,
well, that's very kind of you. I think there's a lot of people that are.
And you're right. I haven't interviewed
you know,
everyone yet, so we'll see.
Right. Well, and by nature, I'm actually very, very, very lazy. Very lazy. Oh my God! Since shutdown in March, I've been doing my YouTube, working hard, but show-wise and stuff, I've just not been making. I think psychologically, I just need the time off. I've been so go for a few years that I'm just.
I can get that. Yeah, you're just it's the grind of doing that constantly.
I kind of just shut down. I just kind of shut down. I was like, I'm done. I just can't, you know. And so I haven't worked out in 5 months. I haven't, you know, I've drunk far too much wine and beer. But I'm finding myself again, and I'm happy, you know, and I'm content. And so there's projects on the go.
That is awesome for you, bro.
Yeah, there's projects on the go. We had a bunch of TV shows we were supposed to do, but they all went by the wayside because of what happened. So there's stuff on the go. Stuff will come back, and you just got to keep going, right?
Yeah, you keep pushing forward. Keep pushing forward. So, yeah, you mentioned your wife, so I'm hoping that this will tie into it. I got a 2-part question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You inspire a lot of people. Who inspires you both magically and your personal, and not magically, I guess? Do you have that inspiration?
Yeah. Well, we can go. I mean, we'll start with magic, I guess. And I'm gonna kind of put in here people that aren't magicians as well, that kind of inspire me. First of all, magic inspirations, very easy for me. Paul Daniels, big inspiration, because you have to remember I grew up in England, right? So I would watch his TV. I would watch his TV special every week. I'd lay on the living room carpet, watch Paul Daniels' magic show. You know, this guy had an unprecedented career. And Ali Bongo was, you know, his magic creative consultant, and just an unbelievable career. So what I love about Paul is kind of the way I see myself. It's kind of the background I come from, is that to be a consummate entertainer, you do everything. You're not just an illusionist or a mentalist or a close-up guy or an escape artist. That's the way everybody is now. They pick a thing, and I think that's because the attention span has got smaller. So now you can travel the world with a 10-minute act, you know, and have a career. Whereas, you know, when I grew up watching Paul Daniels, he did an illusion, he did mentalism, he did comedy, he did improv, he did the bunko booth, he did everything. And so that's kind of what I did my whole career. So I can do close-up mentalism, stage illusions, escapes, balloon twisting, juggling, unicycling.
Yeah.
You know, I've done all that. So to me, the most important thing about performing is people remember people, not tricks. So it's the connection with the audience. And that's what Paul was a master at. So, I mean, Paul Daniels, Tommy Cooper.
Oh, Tommy Cooper. I love Tommy Cooper.
Huge inspiration to me, man. A lot of people don't know, but I have a portrait tattoo this big on my right thigh of Tommy Cooper smoking a cigar. And he, you know, my dad used to record all his episodes as a kid. I grew up with Tommy Cooper, Monty Python, all that stuff. And so the comedy and the timing and the, you know, and all that stuff was a huge, huge thing for me. I mean, for anybody that's seen me perform my whole show, everybody thinks of me as this serious kind of escape artist guy. But a big part of my show is off the cuff improv comedy. You know, in my daily life, I'm a very straight-laced kind of guy, but when I'm performing, it's all improv, situational comedy magic, and that's what I've done, and that's what I still do. And that all came from those two guys, you know. So they were a huge inspiration. Lance Burton, I never saw live, but I had a poster of him on my bedroom wall. Classic shot where he's floating a round bird cage with a canary in it, and he's kind of stood like this. That was on my bedroom wall, and my mom always said, whatever he's got in his eyes, whatever that is, you've got. And I remember that when I was like 12, 13, you know, she was my mom, right? So she's going to say that. But, you know, that was a big influence on me. Houdini, I didn't know how big an influence he was going to be on me. But he was definitely somebody who was over my bed, you know, all through my teen years, just because I thought his posters were cool.
Yeah.
Now, outside of magic, Michael Jackson is a big, big inspiration on me from a choreography perspective, musicality, because in my show, music plays a huge part of my show. I do a lot of stuff to music, choreograph pieces. So his musicality, his movements, his split-second timing, that is a huge inspiration to me. I spend hours at night in bed going to sleep watching Michael Jackson videos on YouTube.
Well, he was just a consummate performer. I mean, just
it was incredible.
Yeah,
incredible. You know, there's been nobody like him. There probably never will be. So he was a huge inspiration to me, and still is. Outside of that, I think, you know, my grandma was a lot of my family are singers. My mom, my aunt, my uncle, they're all singers. So that was a big inspiration to me. Outside of that, in my personal life, you know, my wife is a big inspiration to me because I've been married 3 times. It's funny, actually. I always say in my show, I've been happily married 10 years just to 3 different women. You know, it's like you trade them in every 3 years, like a car. You know, but it took me a lifetime to find her, and she's just a huge inspiration because she works 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. She, you know, right now I'm not working. My wife's still going to work. She hasn't stopped. She goes at 7:30 in the morning. She doesn't get home till 5:36. She's a smart, super intelligent, business-driven career woman, and just her work ethic. And what I love about her, I find it very difficult to nurture friendships. I'm a very kind of internal guy. Whereas my wife at work, everybody loves her. Everybody loves her because she's so good and compassionate, but firm at what she does.
She's got that good aura about her.
Yeah, she's super smart. She puts up with my crap, you know, and I entertainers can be a pain. We all know that, right?
Gosh.
I mean, we're all self-indulgent, and you know, we all think the sun shines out of our backsides and we can't do anything wrong. And you know, what I do is the only thing that matters and all that. And so she puts up with that, and she's just
she seems super supportive, like just in you talking in this interview about you know, certain things. She, you know, with the never give up and moving forward. So
she really is. And you know, right now I'm not working, you know, and so it's like, well, rather than going out and working at McDonald's or something, my wife knows that I'm building a YouTube career, and I've been working on a Zoom show because I've stayed away from Zoom shows just because I've seen a lot of people do it badly, and I thought I don't want to go there because if I do it, I'm going to hurt their career. And the you know, there's a mystique. You build up a mystique about yourself, right? So if I do it, am I going to hurt that? right? But I've been building stuff slowly here at home. I've got kind of a studio area, and I've got green screens and lights, and working out the tech. So
Yeah.
I'm building it slowly. And we are actually going to go live. I just found out today. I've been approached by a new thing called the Forum Theatre.
So is it breaking? It's breaking on my Tipsy Talk. This is
yeah.
breaking news, folks. Breaking news.
Yeah, we just talked about it today. So they've got Elaine New. They've just started up Elaine New. They've got a lot of acts going on. And I spoke to the founders today. They contacted me. And so I was going to go live with my own Zoom shows, even though it's not, I couldn't do it for you now. It's not there. It's not there. But we have set a date. Yeah. The first inaugural show is going to be through the Forum Theatre, and it's going to be September 9th, which is 3 weeks on Wednesday. And we're going to do an 11 o'clock in the morning, which is for Europe. And then we're going to do a 7 o'clock at night Pacific time, which will be 9 Central and 10 o'clock Eastern time. Their Fridays and Saturdays are full till January with performers. So I've said, let's do a Wednesday. So I'm going to do a Wednesday. We're going to do 2 shows, and it will be my inaugural Zoom show. Yeah. So that just got announced.
I'm tuning in.
It's not even out yet, man. The details, the stuff, they've not even. You are the first person that knows, other than my wife. So now you see, I've done that. Oh, my pleasure. I've done it because I need to force myself. I'm inherently lazy, like I said. So unless I have a date, it won't get done. I'll just put it off and put it off and put it off. So we've got a date. I'll go live, and we're going to see how it goes. It's going to be scary, and it could be all kinds of stuff that go wrong. But you know what?
Let me just tell you, my friend Jonathan Molo put a bunch of different shows together, virtual shows, right when the pandemic kicked in. He jumped right in and said, "Hey, look, guys," he reached out to a bunch of people and said, "Look, I can't pay you. Would you want to come in and do 10 minutes, 15 minutes? And of course we agreed, because he's one of the sweetest guys ever. So I said, sure. But it was so nerve wracking, because I'm one that will thrive off the audience, the interaction with the audience and the clapping and the cheers, even though sometimes on stage I get deaf. I don't hear that. And I think, wow, I bombed. That was terrible. And I come off there, no, you were great. You didn't hear them? Like, no, I didn't. It was
right.
So to go on Zoom,
dude, I've done one Zoom show since all this shut down. I had one corporate company that saw me in January in Vancouver at an event. It was like one of the only jobs in Vancouver I'd had in like a year. And they saw me do this gig. And so they reached out to me and said, do you do Zoom shows? And I said, yeah, okay. And so I set up we've got a 3-floor house. So the bottom floor is like fully finished. So I set it up, and I didn't have lights. I didn't have a green screen. I didn't have any of that, but I set it up. I did the gig. They paid me really well. And I came downstairs, did it at 9 in the morning. By 9:45, I was done. And I said to my wife, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
But then I didn't chase it. I didn't follow it up. I didn't create a good show. I didn't, and I watched the footage back that they sent me, and the sound was crap, and it was cutting in and out because of the thing. They loved it apparently, but I was like, no, I can't put this product out there because that's going to hurt my career. So I just let it go.
And that was the big thing. It's like, and I have YouTube stuff that I film, so I was good, but there's some you see and you're just like, put the phone up higher,
Yeah, and I haven't, to be honest, I haven't watched them. I haven't watched a lot of them. I've seen a couple. And even now, with all the gear I've got in there, I didn't know anything about Zoom. Still now, when you sent me this link,
I don't either.
How do I log on? Yeah, so now I've learned Zoom. Listen, I've been down here on the hot lights day in, day out with, I'm watching the Zoom on my computer. I've got the link on my phone. It's screaming in my ear, feedback, and I'm trying to figure all the tech out. I'm still not there, but I'll get there in the next 3 weeks.
If I know you well, you'll be grinding, get it going.
We'll get there.
So
yeah.
Let's go ahead. You ready to take some shots with me?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do some shots here. So basically, shots is I'll give you two items. You tell me which one you like better. Okay. So let's start with cruise ships or corporate shows. What do you like better?
Oh God, I have to pick one, huh?
You got to pick one.
That's tough, man. Well, I'd have to say
And don't
corporate
feel bad
shows.
because whenever I do shots, everybody gets they're like,
No,
"Oh
I'd
man."
have to say I'd have to say corporate shows, but I say that begrudgingly because cruise ships are such a have been so good to me and a huge part of my income on a yearly basis. But I'd have to say corporate shows.
Okay, very good. So we'll have because your channel in the beginning was coffee and watches. Do you like coffee or beer better?
Oh, that's a good one. Ah, oh, I hear. Ooh. I'd have to say beer, but you know what? I wouldn't even get to beer in the evening if I didn't have my coffee in the morning. So that's a tough one, man. That's really tough. Yeah, I'd have to say beer.
Okay, very good,
But
very good.
I can't have a beer at 8 o'clock in the morning when I get
Well,
out.
that's
Public
true.
movement.
That's true.
So
People
that
will
create a
start
whole different.
talking.
Yeah,
They'll
then
start.
they'd be like, do you prefer ibuprofen or do you prefer you know?
Yeah, right,
So
right.
these crazy drugs. So but beer. I'd have to say beer.
Okay. So if you had a superpower, would you rather be invisible or be able to fly?
I think be able to fly because a big part of my career now, well, most of my career is travel. And I spent, my flights might be like 9 hours, but I'll spend 15 hours, 20 hours traveling, sitting in airports for hours and hours. Everybody thinks it's really, really glamorous, this traveling to all these different countries. But
Oh, it's
listen,
grueling.
it's just like getting on a bus. It's just a bigger bus. It's just a bigger bus, right? That's all. And it's just a different location. It's sun and palm trees instead of this. But listen, I don't get me wrong. Knock on wood, I hope it never stops. But after you've looked, I was saying to my wife, after you've looked at sun and palm trees for 2 years, that starts to get old too,
Yeah.
right? So
Oh, yeah.
it's grass is
You can
always
eat
greener on the
pizza.
other side.
I love pizza and you can eat it every day, but it will get old.
Totally. So if I could fly, I could just leave when I need to and fly myself there, and yeah, that'd probably be it.
Okay, very good. So magic or escape?
Oh, magic. That's an easy one. 100%.
Okay, I'd throw an
Escapes.
easy one in.
Yeah, escapes are the thing that's got me well known. But I was making a good living as a magician before that. It's allowed me a bit more flexibility now to take better paying gigs and work a bit less. But my life is actually is harder now than it was before. It's a lot more manic and
It's a lot to
crazy.
go.
And
Not to get off on it, but because I've done a few. Well, I did a couple escapes in my show, and it's very like I don't people realize what physicality it is on your body to escape,
oh God,
especially you
I
with the underwater. I just couldn't.
yeah. Well, the thing and the underwater, just to go off topic a little bit, the underwater, people think, well, I can probably hold his breath for 4 minutes. I can't. I actually, in the early days when I was learning to hold my breath, I got myself up to 4.5 minutes, just myself. I didn't go for training. I got myself up to 4.5 minutes. But once I got there, I thought, well, that's long enough. I don't need longer than that. And so I got super lazy and a little bit out of shape. And so when you see me on Britain's Got Talent and stuff, I'm in that box. No lie, I'm generally getting to about a minute 10 in my comfort zone. And then anything after that is me fighting for my life, literally.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's painful and it hurts and it's not pleasant. But what it creates is such a connection with the audience because they're going through it with me. And when I come out that tank at the end, you can see a million times all over my face that it's real. You can see
Yeah.
you can see I'm not acting because I'm not. It really hurts. I hate doing the water escape. I hate it with a passion. I would much rather do anything else. I've just been in talks with a TV show in Germany who want me to do the water escape. I'm like, no, I'd rather do this thing. Well, yeah, but I hate it with a passion. When I'm in the illusionist, I'm doing I'm doing a water escape, but I'm in a 10-foot tank, 10 feet high, right? And I do it 13 times in a week, sometimes 3 times a day. It's like walking to walk from my dressing room to stage. It's like walking to the gallows every time. It don't get any easier. And maybe if I learned to hold my breath for 5-6 minutes, it would feel easier. But then to me, that's defeating the purpose because the audience
Yeah.
will be able to tell, right?
Oh, he
So
can hold it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've cut myself, bruised myself, burnt myself, and a lot of people don't know this, but last year I was filming a TV show. I can't say what, but I actually didn't escape. I drowned, and I ended up in trauma in the
Mm.
hospital. That happened. I can't say what show it was. I can't, but yeah, that happened to me last year because I got so complacent that I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I hate it, but I'll get in, I'll do it, I'll get it, And I actually didn't, and I pushed it way too far, and I passed out underwater.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
the escape that I did on Britain's Got Talent, where I had a box on my head with the
Oh yeah, I
straight
remember that.
jacket
Yeah.
around me and stuff. It's hanging from chains. Well, it was that, and that thing's too dangerous. It's always been too dangerous. I've done it on 2 TV shows successfully. That's it. I went for a third, and I essentially passed out, and I hung myself because it's hanging from chains. I passed out. I hung myself, and
Mm.
next thing I woke up on a
If
stretcher
I'm not
going to trauma.
mistaken, I think that's the same thing. Didn't that take a life or two? I'm not well knowledgeable about that.
What did?
The box on the.
No, not that I know of. There's not many. There's a couple of people that do versions of that. I know Darcy Oak does a version. Andrew Basso does a version. Um, Mine was built by the same guy that built my water tank, which is a guy called Richard Sherry, who's
Mhm.
a skate builder. He's based here in Canada, in Alberta, and he built it. And but the way I had him build mine was made no sense. There's no dump valve in the box to dump the water out in an emergency. Once the water's in, you can. And also, there's no the one I've seen Darcy do has like a neoprene seal here.
Yeah.
Mine doesn't. Mine's a choke hold on my neck to keep the water in.
Mm.
It's just so tight on my neck that the water stays in, and it's just ridiculously dangerous. It's in my garage now. I won't ever do it. My wife said, "Don't do it. Retire
Leave
it."
it. Leave it there.
It's retired. But that was built for Britain's Got Talent. When I did that on Britain's Got Talent, a week before that, I'd never been in it. It got flown. The timeline was so tight, it got flown to the UK. I arrived and went through 2 days of intense rehearsals with it. Funnily enough, one thing I'm nuts about is Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan,
Oh
and
yeah.
we did the
Well, that was
rehearsals.
that was our culture when we were growing up.
Oh God, growing up. Well, we did the rehearsals for that. I rehearsed for 2 days solid on the George Lucas stage uh, at Elstree Studios, is it? Yeah, where they filmed Star Wars. That's where I was. So I'm in that box and I'm like dying. I'm thinking, I'm hearing this voice going, "Use the Force, Matt." You know what I mean? Like it's like, but that's where I did the rehearsals for that. And I did 2 days straight of just I didn't want to leave the hotel. I didn't want to go. I was having nightmares. It was like drowning every time. And then we did it live on the show. And that when we did it live on the show that you saw, that was the first time I'd done the whole escape successfully. And even then, something went wrong. Part of that escape, when you watch it, is broken. It broke 3 minutes before I walked out on stage. My 2 stagehands. There's a pole that goes up the middle of the jacket, and the metal pole that goes up the middle that has got padlocks in it was supposed to go up in front of the box to keep the box closed. So I have to pick the locks and get the pole out in order to be able to open the front, right? Well, if you go back and watch that, the pole's only this long. It doesn't go up in front of the box. That's
Oh,
because 3 minutes before I walked out on stage, my stagehand was getting it ready and it snapped. This metal pole snapped in half. So when you watch it, there's only one padlock. There was supposed to be 2, and it was supposed to go up here. So I had to change. I got told 3 minutes before I walked out live to millions and Simon Cowell and the 1,000 people in the audience, Russ Stevens, who's the magic advisor, came back and said to me, "We have a problem. The bar is broken." I had to go in that first time and re-choreograph it to the music in my head while I was doing it live. If you watch it now,
talking
when you
about
watch
improvising.
now when you watch it, if you watch that video on YouTube, you'll see that the bar only comes to here and it's only got one padlock in it. There was supposed to be 2, and it was supposed to go up the front of the box. It snapped. It snapped in half 3 minutes before I walked out on stage. That's what I'm saying. My whole career's been like that. My whole career has been like that.
The ups and downs and the trials, tribulations, the innovation, and I mean,
listen. I remember when I saw the Illusionist posters 4 or 5 years ago, I said to myself, I want to be on that poster. And so I put the steps in place. I said, what do I need to do to get there? I put the steps in place to make it happen, right? That was my end goal, was to be on that show. And I did it. And so even if I never do it again, I did it. But we used to do that day in, day out. I've got photos of me with blood pouring down my face where I'd be in the tank and I'd rush up to the top of the tank, put my hands through, and while I'm opening the padlock, my head is hitting the inside
Smacking,
lid of the lid. And I came out one night and I got a cut and blood all down my face. The audience is going nuts. And I had to fill out an explanation form and safety form because they're like, what? You can't do this.
The accident form of what went on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's my whole career has been like that, man.
Well, COVID's a horrible thing, but at least you got a little break.
Totally.
Your body probably needed a little relaxation.
But here's the thing. I saw that and I always thought, oh, those guys, if I had those props, I could do that. No, it's hard work day in, day out. And it's a slog and it's getting beaten up figuratively and physically. It's constant. And, when I'm on a TV show, people don't realize if I do an appearance on a TV show, I've got to spend 3 weeks filling out paperwork and contracts and trying to get visas and trying to get, and going through medicals and all that just to be on a 5-minute show. Like, people don't realize it is so all consuming that sometimes you just want to go, I'm done. It was easy being a kid's entertainer,
Yeah. Give me a balloon. Does anyone have a balloon?
Yeah, exactly. So trust me, it ain't easy. It's not this oasis in the desert. Be careful what you wish for. I'm not saying I don't love it. I do. And I'm not saying it's not afforded me some great experiences and luxuries. It has, but I work 5 times harder now than I ever worked before, and then when the pandemic hit, I lose everything. Right. Because there's a lot of local guys here now doing kid shows and stuff. I couldn't do a kid show to save my life now because I'm just out that game, I
got a call from a person that wanted me to come do their 4-year-old birthday party. I'm like, they don't understand. At 4 years old, right. They don't get it. So
it's a huge, my hat's off to all kids entertainers because I spent my entire life doing that. And and this sounds egotistical, but I was good at it, Billy. I'd done it for so long that I was good at it. I could take a room of 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and it was split second time, and I was really good at it. But now I've been out that game so long that I would not even dare to compete with the guys out there doing it because it's an art form. It's to get kids really to sit and listen. Yeah. Oh, it's an art form, So it's one of the hardest audiences in the world, and a lot of the success I have now as a performer and the improv and the being able to think on my feet came from years of kids shows.
Oh, and just to be able to the learning how to control a room, because if you control a bunch of 5-year-olds,
right,
you're pretty good.
100%. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do last call. Okay, so
good timing. That's great.
I know, right? I'm out about the end. So if last call, when you are done and you've left this earth, what do you want your legacy to look like?
It's funny. I was thinking about this the other night. It's so weird. I don't know why. I was staring up at the stars, and not in a morbid way or anything, but I think about David Copperfield and the legacy he leaves, Houdini, the legacy he leaves. I really don't need any of that, because at the end of the day, once I'm gone, once I pop my clogs, it doesn't mean anything to me. It's not important to me. The only thing that I want to leave is that, he was a great guy. He was a humble guy. He was helpful. He was just a nice guy to be around. Those kind of things. I don't need my name in magic, in magic things history forever. I don't need to be the guy that created this or created that. That used to be part of my goal, but now what's more important to me is the present, is being here for, my family, my friends, helping people in any way that I can, offering advice. I don't know everything, but if I can offer advice to anybody with the things I've learned to help them, I'm always the first guy lined up for that. So That's what's
And you really
important to
are.
me.
You really, I mean, when I've reached out for different ideas and even my background and changing
Yeah.
everything. So yeah, you
Well,
really are that.
oh, well, that's very kind of you. I really appreciate it, Billy. And it bothers me sometimes that I think people think maybe that I'm too busy or that, because I remember as a kid, all these magicians that I looked up to, I didn't dare go and talk to them. If I went to a Blackpool Magic Convention, I didn't dare go and like take up any of the time or whatever. And I always think, God, I hope people don't think that way about me because, it's not like I have a lot of time, but I'm always, always willing to help, whether you are somebody high up in the business or whether you are just starting out 12 years old. I'll give you my time. So
And I think that's what it's all about. I mean, really at the end of the day.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So that's the most important thing to me to be remembered as that. Whether I get remembered in magic or whatever, it's not important. What's important is what I do now while I'm here. That's nobody, I don't know people
Well, I
remember
think
when
you're
you
doing
go.
a fantastic job and, keep up the good work. So with
Thanks,
that
man.
being said, I am going to close your tab and allow you to just go ahead and plug whatever you want to plug, whatever you want to, the magic, the YouTube, whatever you want
What
to.
Yeah, well, right now I'd love to plug my YouTube channel because it's nothing to do with magic, but I'm having a blast with it, and it's this voyage of self-discovery. So that's Beer and Watchers, and not the and sign, but AND on YouTube, Beer and Watchers, and I post Monday, Wednesday, Friday on beer news and watch reviews. Mostly it's a watch channel, but I also drink a beer and review some beers. So that I'm finding my way with that, but having a lot of fun. What else? I'm going to be in the Forum Theatre. So the Forum Theatre is a worldwide thing. I think it's the forumtheatre.com. I guess I haven't looked it up yet. But they're doing great things and they're booking some amazing entertainers and they're kind of taking, they're taking the headache off the Zoom, the ins and outs of the Zoom thing.
Right, right.
They just plug into my camera and then I do my thing. So I'm excited to do the first show on that. That'll be September 9th. Again, 11 a.m. for all my friends in Europe, which will be 7 p.m. UK and 8 p.m. mainland Europe on the 9th. And then it will be 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for North America, which will be 9 p.m. Central and 10 p.m. East Coast, September 9th. So I'm looking forward to that. That's a crazy adventure because I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I knew everything about magic, and I'm so confident on stage. And now I feel like a kid again. So that is
It's a new
that's going to be
adventure.
a new adventure. It's going to be crazy. I'm a little nervous about it, which is nice to be nervous again. What else? I've got a few TV things on the go, but they're not going to happen until I can fly. If you want to check out any of my past videos, you can go on YouTube, type in Matt Johnson, BGT, like Britain's Got Talent. That'll bring some of my stuff up. You can also go to my website, which is urbandeception.com. And urbandeception.com, whether you want to book me or whether you want to watch my promo video or some of my past videos, you can check those out on there. And I haven't released magic for a long time, but I created a lot of magic, a lot of DVDs. So you can just look up my name, Matt Johnson, on Penguin, and that Matt Johnson or Matthew Johnson will bring up a whole bunch of different stuff. And you can check me out on Penguin. I've also got a couple of releases through Murphy's that I've got here. I've got, what are they called? I can't even remember. It's been so long. I've got The Journey, which is my Any Card at Any Number DVD. And then I've got a Magic Square release called In Plain Sight.
Yeah.
That came out a year or so ago. And that is actually a working thing from my repertoire. I do that on the cruise ships. It's my work on the Magic Square. So you can check that out. And I think that's about it, Billy. I can't think
And
of
I will
anything
leave,
else.
and guys, I will leave all those links down, as many links as I can. I'll also leave the links to Matt's Instagram page, his Facebook page, all those, so you can get his updates,
I post on Instagram every day, and also a lot of people don't know, but I am the curator and social media expert for my dog's Instagram page too, Yogi, and his Instagram is Yogi One Kanogi, not Kanobi, but Kanogi with a G. Yogi One Kanogi on Instagram, and he posts every day. He just went over 1,000 followers a couple of days ago, which is pretty cool. He's like my best buddy, and he's like our my wife and I, he's just that rock, that little guy. He's so entertaining. So if you want to follow an 8-pound Pomeranian on Instagram,
He's
Yogi
the coolest
Wankanogi.
too. He is the
Yeah, you can
coolest.
follow him on there. Yeah.
So Matt, thank you so much for coming onto the page. And guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Give me if you want to, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up.
Yeah. Hey, guys,
likes.
do subscribe to my friend Billy. Subscribe, hit the bell button. A lot of people don't really realize how important the bell button is, because if you hit that little bell button to the right, the search bar, that means every time he releases a new video or a contest giveaway or whatever, you're going to be the first to see it. And subscribing is so hard for people to do. It's like when you do a show and you do a bad job, everybody tells everybody. But when you do a good job, nobody says a word. And it's the same with subscribing. If you're doing a good job and people are watching it, they just can watch. They don't subscribe. But subscribing for us as YouTubers is so important, because it builds up our viewership and it also builds us up on the algorithm of YouTube. So if you want to do any YouTuber like Billy a huge, huge solid, just click that subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds for you, but it means the world to people like us putting in 30, 40 hours a week on YouTube videos like this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Matt, thank you once again for coming on
pleasure,
my channel.
Man. My absolute pleasure. Anytime.
Much success to you, my friend. And we will talk to everyone soon.
You too. Be healthy, safe, and well, my friend.
All right. Thank you, buddy.